Good afternoon, children.
Good
Good
afternoon, ma'am.
afternoon.
Last period, I couldn't ask any questions. I was just explaining the monohybrid crows, and this period, I think, first we will start with a summary of what we have completed last period, and then we'll proceed. So you can start one by one what we learned in monohybrid crows. Okay, Malavika. So Nandana can start the main gist of that in a few points you can say. Nandana, what did you understand?
Monohybrid cross is a cross that involves one pair of contrasting characters. And Mendel crossed one tall plant and one dwarf plant in order to see the results.
Okay, Gayatri can continue. So Mendel has crossed one tall and one dwarf pea plant, then observe.
In the F1 generation, he could only find all the plants tall.
From that, what do you understand?
The tall was
Only
dominant.
only one of the parental characters was expressed, and that is considered to be dominant character, and the other one recessive character. Okay, Steffi, next. She told about F1 generation. Now tell me about F2 generation.
One such tall plant was taken and then it was crossed. The F1 generation was crossed.
Once again, F1
Generation was crossed with each other.
means selfing or self-pollination, self-fertilization was carried out, and what did he find?
Then you observed that three of them were tall and one was short. That is 3/4 of them were tall.
The ratio was like this: 3:1. 3 tall is to 1 dwarf. And what is the difference between genotype and phenotype, Punya?
Genotype is a genetic arrangement which is in the ratio 1:2:1.
Okay. I just asked the genotype and phenotype. Okay. Genotype is a genetic arrangement. Phenotype is the physical expression, physical appearance. Okay. Rijas, tell me about dominant and recessive character. What is meant by dominant and recessive character?
When heterozygous when heterozygous
What is meant by a dominant character? The character which will get expressed in the
F1 generation.
in the heterozygous condition in the F1 generation. And what about the recessive character? The character will be
hidden in
the character which will be remaining hidden or which will be suppressed by the dominant character is known as recessive character. Okay. Then what is the phenotypic and genotypic ratio of monohybrid crows, Nevin? Monohybrid and phenotypic and genotypic monohybrid ratio. What is the phenotypic ratio of monohybrid crows? From 10th you are learning, child. No. Steffi?
1:2:1.
1:2:1 is genotypic or phenotypic? I think about the term genotypic, phenotypic. Phenotypic ratio means externally what you see based on that. So what is phenotypic ratio? Tell the ratio. My God. Phenotypic.
3 tall ones. So 2:1.
You're mixing both. You're mixing up both phenotypic and genotypic. Children, phenotypic means based. That's what. Based on what he saw, what he can see externally. These many tall, many dwarf. So that is 3 is to 1. 3 tall is to 1 dwarf. Whereas genotypic ratio is, if you analyze the genetic arrangement, you will find that 1 is homozygous tall. Okay. 2 are heterozygous tall. And 1 is homozygous dwarf. So based on the genetic arrangement, it's easy to understand. 1 is to 2 is to 1. Nevin, repeat the genotypic and phenotypic ratio. Very serious? Yes. No, you tell me. 1 is to 2 is to 1 means what stands for 1, 2 and again 1. You should tell me clearly. Mehak, nice mirror over there. Oh yes, Nevin.
Phenotypic, which is external.
My darling, ratio.
1 is to 2 is to 1.
You say it in proper, fully. I know 1 is to 2 is to 1. What stands for 1? How many 2? Means 2 are the number of what type of plants? My God, my effort went waste. That is what I understand. Last period went waste. Mehak, tell me the genotypic ratio of monohybrid crows.
1 to 2 is to 1.
That even Nevin said. What is this 1, 2 and 1? Who can tell? 1? 1? 1?
One heterozygous, 2,
1 homozygous
one homozygous tall and
is to
zygous
heterozygous tall is to 1
homozygous
homozygous dwarf. Is it that difficult, Nevin? 1 capital T is to 2 capital T smaller t is to 1 smaller t. When similar genes are coming together, when alleles are identical, you call it as homozygous. When they are different, capital T, smaller t, it is heterozygous tall. Capital T, homozygous tall. Smaller t, homozygous dwarf. And how do you represent the genes, or what is the criteria for selecting the alphabet? Lydia? Why some of you have turned the videos off? Shall I remove you? That is the instruction what we have got. Yes, Nevin. Okay, to whom I was asking? Lydia.
letter T.
Whatever be the character, letter T. There is a criteria. First letter of the
And question.
How do we, what is the criteria for naming the genes? How do we represent the genes? We are using certain alphabets, isn't it? We learned capital T, smaller t. What criteria, what basis we are selecting it?
Capital T for
Yeah, I didn't ask about a specific character, tallness or dwarfness. I am not asking. In general, what is the criteria? Now you want to cross violet and white flowers, axial and terminal flowers. So the rule which is applicable for all the characters I am asking. Who can tell me the answer?
Dominant will be
character in F1 generation.
Yes, Mehak?
The dominant character in F1 generation.
I asked the alphabet. How do you select the alphabet? Michael?
Letter of the feature
First letter of the
which is exhibited.
any feature. If it is dwarfness,
Tall T.
first letter of the what character?
Dominant character.
Dominant character. We are selecting the first alphabet of the dominant character. If it is tall, if tall is dominant, we are taking T, capital T. So we select the first letter of the dominant character, and for representing the dominant character we use capital letters, and for representing the recessive character we use small letters. For example, yellow and green. Yellow is dominant, so we take the first letter Y, and capital Y for the dominant character, that is yellow, and small letter y for the recessive character, that is green. Did you understand? Mahek, understood? We select the first letter, first alphabet of the dominant character, and suppose if it is violet and white, violet is the dominant character, we select the first alphabet of dominant character, that is violet, V. So V, when it is capital, it represents the dominant gene. V in small letter, it represents the recessive character. This is applicable for all the characters. Got it? Not at all happy with the way you responded today. I don't know, maybe I didn't break in between last period for asking questions. That could be the reason. Capital letters are used for the trait expressed at the F1 stage. That means which character is expressed in the F1 stage? Only dominant characters. So the first letter of the dominant character is used for representing the gene. See, here I will show some more examples. Suppose we have selected color of the seed. Let it be color of the seed. For color of the seed, yellow and green color. And from experiments which he conducted, you know, yellow is the dominant character. So we will select the first letter of this alphabet, that is Y. And Y, when it is capital, it represents the dominant character, that is yellow. And Y in small letter, it represents the recessive character, that is green. Not small letter G, small letter Y. Then another example, round and wrinkled. Round, wrinkled. And here we select round is the dominant character. Based on his experiments, we know round is the dominant character. So we use the alphabet R. And when it is in capital letter, it represents the dominant character, that is round. And small letter R represents wrinkled, the recessive character. This is applicable for all the characters. Okay, hope you got it. I was under the impression that you have learned everything in class 10. Okay. T is used for tall and small letter t is used for dwarf. Do not use T for tall and small letter d for dwarf, because this can be confusing. You will find it difficult to remember whether both T and D alleles are of the same gene or not. So you can't make out which are the alleles. T and T are alleles of each other. Hence in plants, the different alleles available for height would be capital T, capital T, capital T, small letter t, small letter t, small letter t. Even if a single T, dominant character, the dominant gene, even one is enough for the character to get expressed. But for recessive character, two of them are needed. Okay. So capital T or the dominant character, for that to get expressed, even one alphabet, one letter, one single T, capital T is enough. That means this is also tall, this is also tall. Okay, for tallness to get represented or to get expressed, one capital T is enough, one is enough. But for dwarf character to get expressed, both should be small letter t. This goes with all dominant and recessive characters. For the dominant character to get expressed, even if one capital T is there, that will become tall. That's enough, being dominant. In true breeding tall and dwarf plants, you know that the alleles will be identical. When you say true breeding tall plant means their genes will be in homozygous condition. Pure breeding dwarf means both will be small letter t. Pure breeding tall plant means both will be capital T. So whenever you say pure breeding with respect to a character, the genes responsible for that character will be in the homozygous condition. Capital T, small letter t is heterozygous with respect to height. So all these are genotypes. The genetic arrangement are genotypes, but in descriptive terms, like when you say tall and dwarf, as it is seen externally, those are known as phenotypes. Genotype is a genetic arrangement, and you represent it as capital T, small letter t, or the genes using alphabets you represent, then you call it as genotype. Whereas when you represent it in words, it is the phenotype. For example, when you write this way, it is these two we call as phenotype and these two genotypes. So when we represent the alleles, or when you represent it in terms of genes, you call it as genotype, and in descriptive terms when you say this character, that is the phenotype, the external appearance, physical appearance, tall, violet, round, we can make out just by looking. So those are known as phenotypes, whereas a genetic arrangement which is not visible externally, you call it as genotype. From the cross, it can be found that, this also I told you, alleles of the parental pair, alleles of the parental pair, they will separate and segregate from each other. They are not always remaining together. They don't always remain. See, at the time of gamete formation, see, capital T and small letter t, this is the parent. But at the time of gamete formation, they will get separated. The alleles will get separated from each other at the time of gamete formation. So genes will be in pairs in the parents. When they form gametes, these alleles separate and each one enters a gamete. Both genes will not come together in the same gamete. So gametes will have either capital T or small letter t. So at the time of gamete formation, 50% chances are for capital T, gamete with capital T. 50% of the gametes can be with small letter t. So the segregation of alleles is a random process, and the gamete can be either of capital T or small letter t. 50-50 chances are there. So at the time, what you need to understand is, in gametes, genes are not in the paired condition, because already I showed a picture before where the chromosomes are in the paired condition. So in our body cells, chromosomes will be in the paired condition. But in our gametes, chromosomes will be in the unpaired, and hence genes also will be in unpaired condition, and that is very important to be maintained in the gametes, because only then male and female gametes combined together, normal chromosome number can be maintained. So at the time of gamete formation, the genes of the parental pair will get separated, and each allele will form a different gamete, or each allele or each gamete can have only one of these alleles. Any doubt? Any doubt?
Ma'am, can you explain this point again?
Okay. See, I'll show you the picture. See, capital T, when both are identical, only one type of gamete will be formed. That is why it's not having any significance. That is why I didn't mention about it. So here that case is okay, but take this case, capital T, small letter t. So these are the genes for height in the parent, okay, and it is tall. And when they form gametes, so these plants, when they form gametes, two types of gametes can be formed. They will get segregated, they'll get separated, and they form two types of gametes. 50% with capital T, 50% with small letter t. Understood? Have you followed? Because in gametes, both cannot be there. That cannot happen. In gametes representing each character, only one gene will be there. Got it? Nandana?
Yes, ma'am.
So in gametes, like you know that in a human being, in our body, in all the cells, you know, nucleus is there, chromosomes are there. So everywhere, chromosomes as well as the genes are in the paired condition. But when it comes to the gametes, sperms and ova, there the gametes will be half in number. If you take the case of human beings, all the body cells are having 46 chromosomes, but sperms will have only 23, ova also will have only 23. So that is what I said, representing each character, only one gene will be there. So capital T, small letter t, together they can remain in the parent, but when they form gametes, either capital T or small letter t only will be present in the gamete. That is purely chance, 50-50% chance. Do these? Yes. So Gayatri has asked, is these segregations leading to variation? So they will get segregated and they can form new combinations also, especially in the case of dihybrid cross. So when I explain about that, I'll tell you. See, but still, since you had asked Gayatri, I'll just tell you one example. This we have learned already in class 10. A cross between, dihybrid cross means two characters at a time. You have already learned in 10th. Yellow round, green wrinkled. Okay? But they can form new combinations also when these are crossed. They can be parental type like yellow round, green wrinkled. Then they can mix and match. Yellow wrinkled, green round also can be formed. That is because of this separation taking place. You will learn about it later. Okay? Any doubt? I know it is a bit difficult to understand if you haven't understood what is given in class 10 textbook. Yes.
So from one plant, how many gametes will be formed?
How many?
There are chance gametes.
Plant, I didn't get it.
Two plants are being crossed, right? And there are 4 gametes that we make in that square. So how many gametes are formed in one plant? 2.
Like ova will be, only one egg.
Yes, ma'am. We are taking in that square that we make, we take 4 characters, right? One capital T, one small t.
Because with that possibility, that is this example you are showing, no? 1 minute. This one you asked. This one. Okay, at a time only one male gamete can fuse with the female gamete. Male gametes, see, depending upon the number of eggs, those many male gametes also will get a chance. But only one egg can combine with a, one male gamete can combine with a female gamete. But depending upon the possibility, how many are formed, so it is not that just 4 are formed. They are just depicting it to tell you the ratio. For out of every 4, one will be dwarf. So in that way you need to understand. I don't know whether I properly understood your question. Can you say once again?
Ma'am,
Is that
my
what?
question was, in this box that we see there are gametes in the circle, the gametes are 4, right?
That is representation only. It can be more also. That is just a representation. 2 types of gametes are formed, so they wanted to show both. Here also, it is not the number. In terms of number, you should not consider it. That is just a representation of the 2 types. Only 2 possibilities are there. Either the gamete.
Out of this, one will be formed. Out of this, one of the possibilities will be shown.
Out of this, one of the
Possibilities will be shown.
See, what they are saying about the possibility is not that. See, once again. So what 50% chance they said, no, that is about, see, capital T, small letter t. So what they have said is, when this one form gametes, if I put a circle, you will get confused. capital T, small letter t, when the plant with this character, this combination of genes, when it is forming gametes, it can form two types of gametes. Capital T or let me consider this as a female plant. Eggs with capital T or eggs with small letter t. There are two possibilities. 50% chance for the formation of gametes with capital T and 50% of chance for the formation of eggs with small letter t. About this they have mentioned.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, here also it is random. In this case also, wait. Here also, as you said, it is random. This can combine with this or this. This can fuse with this one or with this one. So, all the possibilities they have shown here. All the four possibilities are shown. That is also random. That is also a random combination. Capital T can combine with capital T, gamete with capital T or with small letter t, or two small letter t's can combine. That is also purely chance. But these, what they have depicted is, they have shown all the possibilities. These are the four combinations possible. Yes, Nandana?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. See, the segregation of alleles is a random process. So, there is 50% chance of gamete containing either of the allele. So, this one for male and this one is considered as female. So, here you see either it can be capital T or can be small letter t. Similarly, for this case, either it can be small letter t or gametes with capital T. So, that is what I said, 50% chance for forming gamete with capital T, 50% of chance for gametes with small letter t. That is chance, purely chance. Okay, those are the two possibilities. Only two genes are present, only two alleles are present. So, we equally divide 50-50 chances. During fertilization, the two alleles, capital T from parent and small letter t from the other parent, are united to produce zygote that have one T allele and one small letter t allele, and the hybrids formed will be heterozygous. So, this they have said about F1 and applicable to F2, a particular percentage of plants. That is, the gamete capital T, the gamete with capital T from one parent and small letter t from the other parent, they combine and form a zygote. In the zygote, you know, it will be in the paired condition. So, they will have these two together. So, we call it as heterozygous tall. And in the second one also you can see. So, for the formation of this gamete with capital T from one parent and gamete with small letter t from the other parent is fusing and they are forming a zygote. If the alleles are different, you call that condition as heterozygous. Gametes of TT will have only T alleles, whereas gametes of TT will have only T alleles. That you can see here. So, these can produce only one type of gamete. Here also possibility only one type of gamete, but here two possibilities. Here only one type, because they are in the homozygous condition, only one type of gametes can be produced. When the genes or when the alleles are in the homozygous condition, only one type of gamete, no other option. But in heterozygous condition, two types of gametes will be formed. Okay? But gametes of TT will have both, again the same thing repeatedly said. When the tall character is in the heterozygous condition, it is having capital T, small letter t. So, two types of gametes can be formed by them, because capital T and small letter t are there, they separate and form gametes with capital T and small letter t. But if it is in the heterozygous condition, they will have either a pair of capital T only one type of gamete with capital T, or in the case of small letter t, dwarfness, a pair of small letter t, they can form only one type of gamete, all with small letter t. Tell me frankly, children, are you able to follow? You want any particular slide to be repeated? Complete. Pin drop silence. Okay. Now listen, the graphical representation for calculating the probability of all possible genotypes of offsprings in a genetic cross is known as Punnett square. So what you see here is a Punnett square. So this I told, it's a representation of the probability. We cannot say exactly 4 were formed. It's not that. These are the 4 possibilities. Okay, all the possibilities they have shown over here. Yes, so a graphical representation to calculate the probability or the possibility of the genotypes of offsprings in a genetic cross is known as Punnett square. And this was developed by the British genetist Reginald C. Punnett. So he was the one who developed this technique of calculating the probability, what are the different possible combinations. So Punnett square is a graphical representation for what? To calculate the probability. Probability of what? All the possible genotypes of offsprings in a genetic cross. It's a graphical representation. It's a graphical representation to calculate the probability of all the possible types of genotypes in a genetic cross, and this was developed by Reginald C. Punnett. Possible gametes are written on 2 sides. All the possible gametes are written on 2 sides, usually on the top row and on the left columns, and combinations are represented inside the box. Gametes will be represented on the top row and left column. On the top row and left column, and then what is done? The combinations are written in the inside the box. The Punnett square shows the parental, tall and dwarf TT female plants, the gametes produced by them, and the F1 TT progeny. So in the F1 square, in the Punnett square, you can see all these details. Tall and dwarf plant. So bracket male and female it is given because one of them is considered as male and female. The parental parents, the gametes produced by them, and the F1 TT progeny. F1 TT progeny means progeny of the F1 TT plants. That is shown in the form of a Punnett square. So this Punnett square, in this particular Punnett square, you get a picture of the parents, tall and dwarf, the gametes produced by them, and the progeny of F1 plants, F1 hybrids. F1 TT progeny means the offsprings produced from F1 generation. And the ratios are already given over here. Any doubts you may ask. Any doubts? No doubts. The symbols, just a minute. The symbols, as I have shown, are used to denote the female and male gametes. Okay, female gametes of the F1 generation respectively. Female X and male and female gametes. Female gametes and male gametes of the F1 generation. Okay, hope you got it. Once again I will repeat the symbols as I have shown here. These are the symbols used for denoting the male and female gametes of the F1 generation, and female is represented this way, just like a mirror, whereas like a bow, that is easy to remember. So something which resembles mirror, you can use it as symbol for female gamete, and here a bow like thing, so you may remember it as a symbol for male gamete. Okay, these symbols are used for representing the male and female gametes, and in the picture also it is given. The picture also you can see these symbols, okay, that will denote the male and female gametes. The F1 hybrid TT, when it is self-pollinated, all this we said repeatedly the same thing. Both gametes are produced in the equal proportion, 50-50. During fertilization, pollen grains of genotype T have 50% chance to pollinate eggs of genotype T as well as that of genotype T. That means here you can find, see this capital T, if you take this, it is having 50% chance of fertilizing this and 50 chance probability for fertilizing or fusing with the other one. Okay. For this one also same way. This can either combine with capital T or small letter t. I'll show you once again. Capital T and small letter t. And female gametes, capital T, small letter. Just a minute, children. Okay, what I meant to say is that suppose these are the male gametes and these are the female gametes. This gamete has got 50% chance of fertilizing this female gamete and 50% chance for fertilizing this gamete. So it can fuse with this, that is 50% chance, and for this also 50% chance. Same goes with the other gamete also. Okay. It's purely a random combination. During fertilization, pollen grains of genotype means the male gametes with the genotype T have a 50% chance to pollinate female gametes or eggs with the genotype T as well as with the genotype small letter t. Clear? Is it clear, children? What is Punnett square? What do you mean by a Punnett square? Sania, turn the videos on. What is a Punnett square? The graphical Vidar, Malavika, Meenakshi, Rijas, Naureen, Nia. Okay. Who was saying the answer?
It is a graphical representation of all possible genotypes of a genetic cross.
Okay. One more time, Anna.
Graphical representation to calculate the probability of all possible genotypes of
Your sound is breaking. Who can say it clearly? Vidur?
The graphical representation of to calculate the probability of all genotypes of offsprings in a genetic cross is known as Punnett square.
Who developed it? Naureen, who developed it? Reginald C. Punnett. So we'll wind up. Just read what has been covered. Any doubts? Because this I can make a little more brief and show it on the slide, but I have included all the major points from your textbook. If I am making it brief, you may not get confused while I am teaching. But when you read the textbook, then you will have confusion. To avoid that only I have included as many as points possible. Now with this you just read the textbook and just ask me the doubts next class. I don't want to proceed further unless and until you have understood. So we will clarify the doubts and then we will proceed. Read it, for God's sake, please do read it and come, only then I can help you out. You will just nod your head and I will proceed to the next topic, then things become all the more complicated. So please do cooperate, read it, and any doubts you please let me know. If you have some severe doubts, what you can do is just message me, so that accordingly I can adjust the time for the next class. Okay, thank you children, see you next class.